Couples come to me for help with their marriages from every different kind of situation, different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds, different experiences. You name it, and I've been present. People who come to me typically want to reconcile. They want to fix their troubled marriage. They're miserable. They're unhappy. They're thinking about divorce. They're thinking separation, but maybe they have children or they're financially intertwined with one another, or just a simple embarrassment to reestablish their social network as a single person. These are all some of the reasons that people come to me requesting help. Right away, typically in the first session or two, I'm able to figure out exactly what the problems are. This is not the video that I'm going to delve into all of that, but I want to get into something else that is probably the greatest reason that well-meaning and well-intending good people want to reconcile, but they find it extremely difficult, and in some cases, even impossible. And the reason is very simple. It's not the bad behavior that has gone on in the past, because I can help them correct that. I can teach them better ways to communicate, how to have realistic expectations, how to share your frustration or disappointment with your partner in a constructive way. And I can give tools and advice for so many different situations. But the one thing that I cannot have direct access to, the one thing that the individuals within the marriage have to struggle with themselves, and that is bad memories. There is nothing else that can get in the way of a couple intending to reconcile, to bring back the love, respect, care, positive regard, positive feeling, intimacy. There's nothing that gets in the way of that more than bad memories. I want to share with you an excerpt from a book that I have in my library. And here it is. It's called Divorce is Not the Answer. A Change of Heart Will Change Your Marriage. It is written by George S. Pransky, PhD. The reason he says a change of heart will save your marriage is precisely what we're talking about. When the heart is turned away from your husband or your wife, it's very hard to reconcile. You see, really, we are two individuals in one body. We're our intellectual self, where we can reason, we can think, we can strategize, we can make conscious decisions. But then we have an animal side of ourselves, which carries all of our emotions. The reason it's called an animal side is because animals don't have much intellect. We have a great deal of intellect, but it competes with the animal part of ourselves. The animal part is a depository of memories. And when these memories are negative, it will constantly bubble up and flood the mind, challenging any conscious decision to think otherwise about any individual or any situation. Before I tell you what I think is one of the best ways for a married couple to be able to overcome these negative memories, I want to share with you a little excerpt from the book that I just identified and talked to you about. Here is a summary of the words of Dr. Pransky. When your relationship has been strained, you and your partner build up hurtful memories that start to outweigh your feelings of love and care for one another. As that sense of love gets buried, you begin to see each other in a negative way, which perpetuates itself, creates more painful memories. Over time, this pattern of gathering negative thoughts, and part of the gathering is in order to be able to substantiate your prior feelings of hostility. So you're like a magnet gathering more proofs and more examples, but it accumulates over time. And eventually your view of your marriage becomes darker and darker, slowly eroding all the goodwill between the two of you. In this particular state, where your mind has been contaminated by the feelings of frustration, helplessness, regret, disappointment, anger, eventually you start thinking about ending things with a divorce or some other means. This pattern can change, though, when you clear your mind of the painful memories. As those thoughts lose their grip, warmer or more positive feelings can eventually find a place, a new home, an opportunity to have a new, fresh start. Forgiveness is what begins the shift. In other words, you have to decide in your mind that you do not want to carry this along anymore, and you want to start thinking about it in different ways so that you can forgive your partner. When you and your partner decide to forgive and let go, you release enormous emotional pain and open the door to new thoughts, new feelings, and a new way of seeing each other and eventually relating to each other. That's what a fresh start means. You have to clear your mind so you can feel closer, feel loving to each other, be kind with one another, and rebuild your relationship as it had once been when you first met, dated, and decided to get married. So the point that Dr. Pransky is making is very clear. And I confirm this 100%. This is the most challenging thing that I have with couples. I can see that a husband gets angry. I can teach him anger management. I can see that a wife has unreasonable expectations. I can do a reality check with her. But if they're both filled with negative thoughts about one another, I can't take that out of their heads. Only they can. And one of the best ways, and it may surprise you, but one of the best ways to reset things, to do a reboot, so to speak, is to have the greatest sex in the world. Because sex is extremely pleasurable. Consensual sex, respectful sex is completely pleasurable for both individuals, husband and wife. And it's a natural way where we can recalibrate and feel loving towards each other. This is where I mentioned the animal soul earlier. The animal soul can start to feel how wonderful their husband or their wife is and develop appreciation and enthusiasm to re-experience the pleasure of sexual interlude between the two of them and romance. Of course, for a woman, it's not just simple sex. It has to be mental alignment as well. But generally speaking, if they can get to the point where they can have a successful, intimate relationship, that will go a long way to balance the ledger so that the two of them can begin to chip away at the negative thoughts and feelings towards one another. Now, I know this sounds contradictory because when people are not getting along, they generally do not want to sleep with each other. So it takes a certain leap of faith. Again, it has to be consensual, and a woman and a man will both approach it in a different way, and it has to be coordinated. And at another time, I will address that, but not today. And when it does happen, it's so powerful, it will erase a lot of negativity. So it can be used as a very positive tool to help build the relationship and reestablish the relationship, the marriage, health, vitality, and appreciation for one another. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.